massage, we like to keep our service dogs fit for their job, and they're working 24 hours a day sometimes, and muscles hold tension, but also some of the dogs may have underlying conditions that, although it doesn't affect their ability to work, it's just something that needs to be addressed to make sure that it doesn't affect their work. So for example, we've discovered with this little girl, she has a fused vertebrae close to where her tail is. So although it doesn't affect her ability to work, we want to make sure that it doesn't hinder her ability to work. So what we're doing is just making sure all the muscles supporting the area are kept supple and don't cause any discomfort. Quite often, if the dog has injured itself, there might be a strain, which then becomes difficult for it to perform a task because that strain aggravates it. For example, they might have done something in their back, and then when you tell the dog to sit, the muscles are then sore, which means the dog isn't going to want to sit. So when is a training issue actually not a training issue, it's actually a muscular issue. So I keep an eye on all the dogs, watch them when they're walking, and if there's anything that needs addressing, anything that needs loosening up and tightening them up, loosening up and preventing the area from becoming tight, it just makes sure the dog is able to do the job to the best of its ability and not be hindered by just these little niggles and knots the same way as humans get, like the knots that you get in your shoulders, the knots that you get in your lower back. Dogs suffer with all of this, and if they're getting in the way of training, then the dog is not going to be able to perform as well as it should be. So this is a way of keeping them in good muscular shape so that we can ensure that the veteran is getting the best out of his dog and the dog is able to perform its job without being in any discomfort. She has her own ideas about which side should be worked on. So she gets this on a regular basis. So we work with her every week. And because her issue is back here, what we do need to make sure is that the front end is nice and loosened up and not stiffening up because she's compensating. So we want to make sure there's no areas of overcompensation. So we just address those areas at the same time. So whenever you're doing massage, quite often somebody will say, well, this bit hurts or that bit hurts, or this shoulder's sore, they've been laying here, or they've been having an issue here, and then they wonder why I'm working back here. Well, the reason for that is that's the natural compensation area for a dog is asymmetrical. It doesn't apply to every dog, but as a rule, that's the compensation area. So this area is going to be tight because they're coming off and putting more pressure back here when they should be more evenly distributed. So what we do is make sure that we loosen up the area that is sore or having an issue with, and then we loosen up the surrounding areas and the opposite corners, as it were, just to make sure that all the muscles are being addressed and the dog's body will function properly. And then they're not going to be uncomfortable. So massage for dogs is quite unusual to a lot of people. It's something that a lot of people would never think of, but it's actually very important, especially for working dogs. I work with a lot of agility dogs and performance dogs, but for working dogs, so your service dogs, it's extremely important. If your muscles are sore and tired, then you can't perform your job as well. But even our everyday pets, dogs that don't necessarily work, they're still running around and possibly slipping and sliding on floors at home. And number one cause of injury in dogs is slippery surfaces. So just having your own pet dog worked on occasionally, just to make sure there's no underlying issues, or maybe they've slipped on the floor and that back is now a little bit tight. It's more prone to injury and to strain if the muscles are tight. So it's we want to make sure that all dogs are able to have this sort of therapy and make it more widely known that it's out there, but especially important for these working dogs because they still do the daily activities that your average pet dog does, but then they've got the added responsibility of looking after their veterans. So looking after them is very important, and massage is a must to help keep them in top shape to look after these guys.